Today on Energy Contact. Ever see an explosion? When energy moves, mass moves too. Well, that's true in our bodies as well. Move a little energy and the mass moves accordingly. Today, we're going to see how that energy moves through your chakras and how it affects your health and growth and self-improvement. So, hold tight, because it's about to blast through your television right now on Energy Contact.
I'm gonna drive away all these doubts I've been keeping and doubt. Keep my mind on better things. I ain't gonna worry and I ain't gonna complain. I'm gonna drive away all these doubts I've been keeping and doubt. Keep my mind on better things. Just keep my mind on better things.
Hello, and welcome to Energy Contact. My name is Joseph Willenbrink. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you to the production staff here in the studio for helping me get my message out to you. Energy Contact is a series that I'm presenting to you as a public service. It's about attaining perfect health, growth, happiness, self-improvement, and realizing your full potential. It's designed to present you a new way of looking at yourself and a new way of looking at the world around you. We're talking about things that have to do with making an energetic contact with yourself internally and with your environment. There's no difference between the body, the mind, the spirit, the emotion, the intellect. There's no difference between mass and energy. These things are all exactly the same. There's something about us that loves to separate, to classify, to categorize, to take these things apart, to take one little piece and hold it under a microscope and think we know everything. But in fact, all that health and growth we're talking about here takes place when we do just the opposite. When we put these things together, when we make an energetic contact between the physical world and the unseen one. We're presenting on these programs a brand new paradigm that's thousands of years old. We're presenting extraordinary topics for ordinary people. And let's move right ahead with that. Let's bring up a slide. Everyone, please understand that I am not a doctor. This show is not a medical show, medical advice show, medical talk show, anything like that. Couldn't be further from it. Now, I might call myself a chakra healer or an energy healer, things like that. So might a lot of other people. But state, federal, and local governments absolutely do not. They call me no such thing at all. And it's important to understand that. There's a lot of important information on your screen right now. Please read all of that, if you will, with your full attention. But when you've got it down, now would be a great time to locate a pencil and paper. And here's why you want to do that. At the end of this show, we are going to run some credits, and on those credits, there's going to be contact information for me. Now, I invite and encourage you to contact me. I'm sort of hoping that something I have to say today might compel you to want to do that. But in order to contact me, you're going to need that contact information. In order to get it, you're going to need a pencil and paper. There will be plenty of time to jot that down if you've got your pencil ready. So please locate that now. All right, let's come back up here. Today is episode number 83 of Energy Contact. And if you're tuning in for the first time, well, thanks and welcome. You'll enjoy the show, I think. These shows are sequential. They build. So we're talking about things today we've explained and defined previously. There's some ramp-up time, some up-to-speed stuff that you will have missed out on. However, I do my very best to make sure that every program has a lot of value on a standalone basis. So you will get plenty out of this show all by itself. However, if what you see piques your interest, well, then I'll invite and encourage you to look around, because there will be earlier programs airing at later times. They'll either be re-airing right here on this station, or they'll be on in different days and times in different areas. And if you look for them, I'll appreciate it. All right, and now it's time for me to introduce my co-host Slim. Let's get my buddy Slim. There he is. This is Slim, and Slim is here for a reason. Since we're investigating what it is that energy contacts in the physical self, we have to know a few somethings about a few somethings, don't we? We have to know something about energy. And this show is all about energy. That's what we're talking about. But all of that energy out there somewhere really does us no good at all. It does us no good until we bring it into contact with something, until we bring it into focus. Slim is here to help us understand that thing that the energy contacts, that the energy must contact if we're going to be healthy. Remember, a body without energy is just a corpse. And energy without a body, well, it might be a lot of cool things, but none of them are human. All right, previously on Energy Contact, we have been looking at your chakras and your aura, invisible things. And we have seen that what is visible and what is invisible have absolutely nothing to do with what is real and what is unreal. Matter doesn't matter. It's just a projection. It's an optical illusion. It's a hologram. It's that energetic world of vibrations and rhythms and frequencies. That's all that's real. That's all that's important. That's what this physical body is a hologram of. We've seen that we don't really have an aura per se. We have a series of subtle bodies, sheaths, layers, shells, 6 of them to be exact, which means 1 physical body plus 6 subtle bodies. We have 7 bodies total. Now, some people can see these bodies, these subtle bodies, and that's cool enough, but just because we can see something doesn't mean it's real. If anything, we have reason to believe just the opposite, don't we? What we've been doing here is we've been using the visible as a window to the real. Now, even though we've seen that in the real world there's just one thing, here in this physical world, everything appears to be in dualities, sets of 2 pairs. Healthy and sick, rich and poor, pleasure and pain, happy and sad, cold and hot. Raga and Dvesha, if you remember when we spoke about that. Yin and Yang. Call these things what you will. Our job is to transcend them. And the degree to which we pull that off determines a lot about our success here in this world of physical bodies and in the real world too. Now, we've seen that while we have hundreds of chakras in us, we have 7 main ones. And these 7 main bodies have a 1-to-1 correspondence with our 7 bodies. That is, each one of those main chakras corresponds to one and only one body. 1 physical body and 6 subtle ones. Now, another thing we've seen that's real, that we've been looking at for a long time here on Energy Contact, is that invisible body intellect. We've seen how all those things we were always told in school they were brain things, the things that give us thought, reason, recall, memory, logic, intelligence, intellect, all those things like that, that they are in fact in every cell of our body. They permeate, saturate every cell of our body. Our body then is just an unreal physical projection of that very real and very invisible body intellect. It's made in its image and likeness, and it's made that way on purpose. There's nothing random, nothing happenstance about it. So what we want to do then is we want to understand the real stuff. We're caught up in this stuff here. We want to get to the real stuff. We want to look at the details of your chakras and your subtle bodies. We want to introduce you to somebody you really ought to know by now. So to do that, we're continuing to look at the visible built by the invisible, using the visible as a window to the real. We want to see what your aura and chakras have to do with the fact that it is difficult, if not absolutely impossible, to be a healthy person, a happy person, a well-adjusted person, a spiritual person, until and unless you promote the flow of invisible energy through your physical self. We want to understand in practical terms how that upward flow of energy not only affects and builds our physical self, but how that real stuff turned into this unreal stuff in the first place. We want to take the false and misleading concept, feeling of randomness out of the equation to determine what are the consequences of inhibiting those energy flows and what are the rewards of promoting them. But even this new understanding is not the goal. The goal is to get to what all this aura chakra business has to do with your health, your growth, your happiness, your self-improvement, and realizing your full potential. Remember, there are many great saints throughout history that did just fine along their spiritual journey, and they never even knew what a chakra was. Chakras, at an intellectual level, are not at all important, not in the least. And yet here, we're coming to an intellectual understanding of them. And so to do that, today we're continuing that building process, continuing it from the surface up, understanding how, while in this entire universe there is only one thing, the different chakras seem to divide out different responsibilities for our well-being. We want to know what these different chakras do, particularly the root chakra. We are in the process of understanding esoteric things analytically, looking at mysticism through scientific eyes. And while that's a worthwhile endeavor, please understand that that means we're categorizing and classifying, and that's very dangerous territory here on Energy Contact. An analytical and abstract understanding of this information without a conceptual feel of what it means to you will in fact take you away from your goal rather than towards it. All right, so that's where we're headed. But first, we've reached the part of our show where we get to stop for a second and take our virtual field trip, our journey in our mind's eye. For today's visualization, imagine that you and I have taken a job for a small municipality. It's an engineering project, a repair job. This little city has a small lake, and in the middle of this small lake is a big fountain. It's sort of a signature piece for the city. This fountain, if you can visualize it, is a tall vertical column. And you can imagine 5 horizontal sprayers coming out of the front and the back, and a 6th one coming right out of the top. At least that's how it's supposed to work. But the fountain is clogged. Something has stopped the flow, and no one seems to be able to figure it out. So they called in you and I. And to take a look at it, we paddle out to the middle of this lake in a rowboat. We're out there with the town engineer to take a look at this thing. And that engineer tells us that all of these water jets we can see have been regularly roto-rooted and cleaned and maintained. And yet the fountain is still clogged up. And because there's no water flow, these jets get corroded and clogged over again and again, and they need to be repeatedly re-cleaned. But then he continues that he doesn't even really know why he bothers, because they just clog back up anyway. There's no flow to keep them open. He's figured out that much. It's the flow that keeps them open. And so, if there's no flow, what's the purpose? And so you look very carefully and study it, and you notice that there's another water jet, a 7th one. It's below the surface of the water. And so you ask our guide what's been done about that. The guy says, well, nothing. We don't deal with that. We don't like to work under the surface around here. We just pretend it's not there. We figure if we can clear out the top, then maybe that bottom somehow will just take care of itself. Hold that thought. We've been in the process of understanding where the 7 main chakras are in you. Recently, we've been playing a little game called Pin the Chakras on Slim, and we're going to go right back to that today. But first, we're going to bring up a slide and look at these chakras on a couple of our friends you see in pictures. Let's bring that up. There it is. You can see here that there are chakras on this fellow, a front and a side view. And those names there are the Sanskrit names of the chakras and the name of the subtle body, the aura body, to which they correspond. Now note that the little springs on that fellow sort of resemble, you could think of them as the water jets on a vertical fountain. Over on the other side you can see how each of those chakras corresponds to a unique subtle body. Now look at the bottom 3 chakras. There they are, red, orange, and yellow. These are the ones that have to do with our mental, emotional, and physical well-being, respectively, going from top to bottom. But for now, keep that in mind, and we're going to come back and take a look at Slim. Alrighty, these are my chakras here. We're going to put some chakras on Slim. We got a few of them here. We got 7 of them. We're going to put 7 chakras on Slim. Remember that Slim and my chakras here, they're just models. They're representations. Chakras don't really look like this in the physical sense. They don't look like anything. Also remember, the chakras don't sit still like this. They're more like those springs. They're dynamic. They spin, they flux, they flow, things like that. Those springs on that picture you just saw, well, they're an attempt to represent that. Now, I don't have any springs here with me, but I do have a slinky, and so you can sort of think of those chakra, the energy's coming out of the chakras like this little slinky here. We'll use that when we put these on this guy. Now, people talk a lot about chakras being along the spine. So you might be tempted to believe that they're in the back of us. Well, they're not. They're in the middle of us somewhere. But they shine out of the front and the back. except the top and the bottom ones, they shine out of the top and the bottom respectively. But for today, we're going to look at these chakras from the front. These chakras, keep in mind, are in effect clogs that are located along a fountain-like thing called the Sushumna Nadi. Now, we won't see the Sushumna Nadi on Slim, but we are going to see the blocks. We're going to see the chakras, at least the 7 main ones. Okay, so let's get to that. Maybe before we get over there, take a look, just before we get started, at this whole pelvis structure. This is very important for what we're doing today on Slim. And now we'll proceed along, and we'll put this root chakra on him. We moved his tie out of the way. Slim's a formal fellow. And now I'm going to put this root chakra is located right about here. Let's see if that'll stay there right. There we go. It's in the bottom of us, like that. Now, the root chakra is a little hard to represent. I'm going to spin Slim over just a little bit so you can see just a better feel of him. There we go. The root chakra is a little hard to represent. If you remember from the springs, the spring at the root chakra goes down. So this root chakra really sort of points down like this. It doesn't point outward. But we're doing the best we can with what we've got to work with. That root chakra is located at a place on you called the perineum, or the perineum, some people say. Either pronunciation is correct. It's the muscle on the very bottom of you. You'll recall that spring points down. Keep that in mind, it's important. And we've got things moving out. But this root chakra, this Muladhara chakra, corresponds to the physical body. That's what it is. It's the chakra of the physical body. And that's profoundly important because it means that every physical thing going on in you is either caused at or solved at the root chakra. The reason you're not fixing yourself is because you aren't looking there. The root chakra must be functioning well for you to achieve and maintain physical health over time. Now, the root chakra corresponds to the physical body. It does not correspond to an aura layer. And yet, the health of all the aura layers depend upon it. It's foundational. All right, let's move ahead. We're moving up to the second chakra. The second chakra, this orange one here, is called the Svadhisthana chakra, or it's called the pelvic chakra, or the sacral chakra in English. And it is right at the front of the hip bone. And in the back, it's at the place where the sacrum meets the tailbone, hence the name sacral chakra. It corresponds to your first aura layer then, known as your emotional body, which is the body of your emotional self. And that's profound too. This chakra is the chakra of healthy relationships with healthy available people, or lack thereof. It's not about loving all the people of the world. That's a heart responsibility. This chakra is about the attractions that you attract personally, those relationships that you attract, and those relationships that you push away. The second chakra is also the chakra that sort of regulates the sense of touch. It's the chakra of feeling, not emotional feeling, but tactile feeling, touch. And remember, just as in the case with our fountain, that second chakra is completely devoid of energy, completely devoid of flow, until the root chakra is open, at least a little bit. All right, and so we're moving up. We're moving up to this third chakra called the solar plexus chakra, or the Manipura chakra in Sanskrit. It goes right there. It corresponds to your mental body, your mental self. A spiritual thought has a yellow color. Now actually, the Manipura chakra is a little bit below the solar plexus. The solar plexus is right here where your ribs come together. The solar plexus is about 1/3 of the way down to the navel. We'll see that there's some importance to that in just a second. Now you might hear people say that your Manipura chakra is your chakra of personal power. Technically, that's incorrect, but functionally it's correct. All of the power in you, for any intents and purposes, is all down here, down in the first 2 chakras. But the third chakra is about control of power. And power without control is a dangerous thing. Ask anyone who's ever been hit by lightning. The Manipura then is the refinery. It distills all of that raw power, all that untamed power of the first 2 chakras, and converts it into stuff you can use. The third chakra is all about live and let live. And when it functions, you're neither controlling nor manipulable. You are neither predator nor prey. All right, that's our first three chakras. And let's take a break from that for a second. And we want to take another look at Slim's pelvis before we move up. You can see that the first and the second chakras on Slim here, this is a good view of them here, they sort of define what's going on at the pelvis. And the third chakra, it's a little bit above the pelvis. So we can bring our slide back up now, I think, if we're ready to do that. There it is. And we'll see where they are here. Notice we're looking primarily at those bottom three chakras. Notice again the aura bodies to which they correspond. Their names are in the text in the middle there. Physical, emotional, and mental body. Notice these words. These are tangible words. These are words that have meaning to you. Words that are not abstract. All right, now let's come again right back to Slim, and we'll see these chakras again on him. There they are. Now in a minute, we'll see yet another view of them. But for now, we're going to get back to work on chakra land here and continue our upward motion. We're going to get up to the heart chakra. Keep those bottom three in mind, though. Here's the heart chakra right here, the Anahata chakra. Let's position this a little bit. There we are. The Anahata chakra is the heart chakra, and it is the chakra of the astral body. A little more of an abstract term. But all that astral travel you hear about, it is a journey of the heart, literally and figuratively. The heart chakra is referred to as the root chakra to the spirit. And that's a fair characterization. There's three chakras below it, three chakras above it. If the root chakra is what makes you strong, then it's the heart chakra that makes you kind, that makes you good. The heart chakra is about compassion. It's about caring for the world and all of its souls, caring for people that you've never met or people that you don't need to meet. If you hear about a natural disaster somewhere, a tsunami or an earthquake or something, those people, you don't know those people, but you care about them. Why is that? Well, it's because you got a heart. The heart chakra is about the siblinghood of humankind. Moving up, we're about to get to this throat chakra here, the Vishuddha chakra. The Vishuddha chakra is right here. Keep our heart in the middle. My heart wants to go to the left. I wonder if there's something profound about that. There we are. There's that throat chakra. And, as you would imagine, it's right at the throat. It is the chakra that maps to something called the etheric body. Now, the throat chakra is the territory of expression. It's the ability to say meaningful and true things with power and control, and in loving ways. Can you see how the language of the chakras is additive? The power of the first two chakras, the control of the third chakra, and in loving ways of the heart. That's what your throat expresses. Let's move right up here. Next, we're coming to the Ajna chakra. See if I can get this on Slim here. There we go. The Ajna chakra, here it is, folks. Here is that third eye chakra that everybody seems to be so enamored with, so crazy about. It is the chakra of something called the celestial body. Now, if, and only if, you've unclogged all of the blocks in the fountain below it, this Ajna chakra is about clarity of thought and vision. It's the ability to focus and concentrate, see the unseen, know the unknown. All right, we've about made it to the end of our journey here. We're getting up to the top chakra. The top chakra is called the crown chakra, or the Sahasrara chakra in Sanskrit. The top chakra is the chakra of the causal body. Now, the crown chakra is all about, see how we've got him there. That looks like that'll hold. The crown chakra is all about cosmic consciousness. And that's a very heavy subject. We won't get into that for a while. But it is important to know that it is the chakra of the causal body. And that causal body is so named because it is the cause of the physical body. And so the first and the second chakras are sort of the front and the back of each other. Can you see how we've sort of come full circle? We've completed the circuit. The crown chakra is the chakra of the reason that you even have a physical body. but the root chakra is the chakra of everything that has anything to do with the body that crown chakra has brought about. Now that crown chakra is far too grandiose for us right now. It's over our heads, literally and figuratively. Everything we need to know in order to unclog our infinite fountain of energy is all down here. It's all down here below the surface. And since the root chakra is the chakra of our physical self, and since chakras are invisible, what that means is that everything physical in us is managed by something invisible. The root chakra must be functioning well before you can have that health and growth and happiness you seek. All right, and the reason we're focusing on our bottom three chakras is because we are coming to a better understanding of our core. And our search to understand our core, I snuck in a word on you that I haven't used in a while. That brings us to a place we've been before. A moment ago, we concentrated on Slim's pelvis. Now, let's bring up a slide, and we'll see a picture of something that we haven't seen in about 65, 70 episodes of Energy Contact. Ha! There it is. It's your pelvis and your psoas muscle. If you'll recall from episode 10 or so, our pelvis is just a big bowl of guts and goo, and it holds a bunch of stuff called endoderm. What's that? Well, it's intestines and gender organs, glands, things like that. Things that have no form of their own. Without that bowl to hold them in place, they just flop out all over. But even this bowl, even the bowl of guts and goo needs to be held in place to keep all the goo from spilling out. And that job is done by what you see on that big picture there on the right of your screen. That's your psoas muscle. It's been a long time since we've looked at it, but we'll see it plenty more. It is the most important muscle in your body. Look at the other side real quickly and notice where that pelvis structure is in you. It's roughly in the area that would be covered by a reasonably modest two-piece bathing suit or a pair of briefs. Over on the other side, you can see how that psoas muscle begins below the pelvis and ends above it. It holds the whole structure in place like the cables on a suspension bridge. Now, what does that have to do with chakras? Well, let's go right to our next slide and we'll add a little something to this picture. Can you see it there? We snuck some chakras in. That psoas muscle, you will notice, encompasses our first three chakras. Remember, these first three chakras are the chakras that have to do with our physical, emotional, and mental self. At the very bottom of the pelvis, below where the spine starts, that's the realm of the root chakra. The second chakra is right where the spine begins, and the third chakra is right where the psoas connects to the spine. I told you we'd see something meaningful about that. Well, there it is. Let's come back up here. We're about out of time today, but these three chakras and the psoas and the pelvis, they define the core of you. Those terms, core and core strength, they're almost cliche these days. Now you know what they really mean. And now we're out of time. We'll see you next time. Until then, I wish you peace and positive energy and a healthy life in Energy Contact.
He ain't gonna worry and I ain't gonna complain. I'm gonna